Hello everyone, I'm Sendoh, and over the last few weeks the state of the Premier mode hasn't been the best. In fact, you have probably seen how the top players play, and to make things worse, they are not banned or detected at any point. The thing is, a few days ago I came across a very interesting interview on Twitter about how the Valve anti-cheat system works. In fact, there are several tips on how to raise your trust factor and avoid cheaters, so today we will talk about that and much more. So let's go! The other day I found a detailed post on Twitter to the Onepixels community about how the Valve anti-cheater system works. The source of all these questions and answers comes from a pretty popular cheat developer. However, I want to warn you that even though it's explained in a pretty believable way about how they think Valve's anti-cheat works, it doesn't mean it's 100% reliable. It is based on what cheaters have researched through trial and error. Still, I think it's worth discussing, so you can see how inefficient the anti-cheat system in CS2 is right now. The first question relates to whether using cheats in the game actually lowers your trust factor. For those who don't know what this is, it is a system where, based on certain inputs, reports and other data, Valve determines if you are a well-behaved player or someone who causes problems. In this way, people who cause a lot of issues, either being toxic or cheating, are matched with other problematic players, not with regular ones. Returning to the question, apparently using cheats in CS2 doesn't directly lower your trust factor, but it depends on how many reports your account receives while playing. This affects both cheaters and players who are not using any external software, but it's pretty obvious that, for example, if you're using cheats in a very obvious way, it is more likely that your trust factor will drop a lot due to the number of reports you might get each match. This is definitely a double-edged sword for me, because in theory, if this system is used correctly, players who are cheating or being very disruptive would end up being labeled as problematic players and will be placed in a different matchmaking queue. But of course, it doesn't take into account that people often report other players just for the sake of reporting, or in the case of streamers, they receive penalties for disruptive behavior because people decide to report them just to annoy them and ruin their account's status. The second question is about what exactly Backlife and Backnet are, and when Valve started working on them. According to the cheat developer, Backnet is an artificial intelligence-based anti-cheat created by Valve. It is currently more stable, and it's the cause of the famous Backlife bans during the matches. Apparently, Valve is now very much against rage and semi-rage playstyles, which, in case you don't know, is basically spinning around or shooting constantly through the walls and smokes without trying to hide anything. In theory, playing like this can trigger a backlife and result in a ban lasting from 1 to 181 days. In fact, over the last few weeks they made some changes. Previously, if backlife detected you 4 times in a row, you will get a 30-day suspension. Now it can be up to 181 days or more. Once the suspension is over, it's not exactly clear what will happen to the accounts marked for cheating. According to the developer, Backnet is still an experimental platform for Valve, so using cheats blatantly is definitely not recommended. Although if you have been playing lately in the game, you can see that it's not working too well. Throughout the interview, there are various questions about how to use cheats and in what way, and honestly, I'm not interested in discussing that at all. But there's one very interesting question that could really help us raise our trust factor in the game. One of the questions is about how to know your trust factor and its current state. It also mentions a popular website called Faceit Finder, which is commonly used to check if someone has a Faceit account. I don't really know where this idea came from, but some people used it to find their trust factor, which has never been accurate and has never worked. The cheat developer confirms the same thing I'm telling you. Faceit Finder will never show your trust factor, and it can never estimate it accurately. The best way to check your trust factor is by using the player search tool. If you click on it and see more than 20 players, all with Prime, then you are in the best trust factor, the green one. If among these 20 accounts, 15 have Prime and 5 doesn't, your trust factor is yellow. And lastly, if there are fewer than 20 players and almost all of them don't have Prime, you are in the worst level, and it's highly likely that you will encounter only other cheaters. Another warning the developer gives is that sometimes this system might be bugged, and you will need to verify it multiple times by restarting the game, so take a look and see what results you get. In my case, I have green trust factor. Finally, and this is very important, there's also a question about how to clear your trust factor, how to get it back to green or make it improve, and there's a tip that can help a lot. According to the developer, there is a very good method to clean your trust factor, which is by playing 2 versus 2 matches, because there people don't tend to report each other as much. The exact number of matches you need to play in this mode to return everything to normal is unknown, but the more you play, the better. It should be around 50 to 100 matches to get your trust factor back to green. Although this interview is for those who want to buy cheats, it helps a lot to understand how Valve's this anti-cheat system works. The tips about the trust factor are very useful, based on many people report the experience in Premier Mode involves encountering multiple cheaters in every match, and this could be heavily influenced by your trust factor. I don't have much more to say. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm Sendoh and see you soon.